Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're going to tackle a huge topic, one that almost everyone thinks they know, but maybe not from this angle: astrology. Yeah, forget those weekly horoscopes you see in magazines. We're diving way deeper. We're going to explore a view of astrology that's really a powerful tool for self-discovery. And our guide on this journey is a work by Master E.K. called Astrology and Occult and Spiritual Perception. All right, so where do we even start? Let's kick things off by tearing down the #1 misconception about astrology, that it's all about prediction. I mean, that's the big question, right? Is astrology just some cosmic crystal ball? A lot of people think so. We're all desperate to know, am I going to get that job? Will we have a boy or a girl? But here's the thing. According to our source, if you're asking those questions, you're kind of missing the whole point. And to show you why this whole prediction thing is a dead end, the source tells this great little story. It's about a king, right? And he's desperate for an heir. So he calls in his court astrologer and demands, "Tell me, is my child going to be a boy or a girl?" Okay, so the astrologer, he's in a real bind. He knows he can't possibly know for sure. So what does he do? He gets clever. He cooks up this plan and prepares 2 sealed envelopes. One says a son, the other, you guessed it, a daughter. So when the queen gives birth to a son, bam, the astrologer whips out the correct envelope and the whole court is just blown away by his accuracy. But let's be super clear here, and the source really hammers this home, that wasn't astrology. That was just a smart trick. The real point of astrology, well, it's way, way deeper than that. So what is that deeper purpose? Well, the ancient Indian seers had this amazing metaphor, and it's really the key to this whole thing. They said, astrology is like a lamp in a dark room. Think about that. It doesn't tell you what's going to happen. It just shines a light on what's already there. And that's the key, you see. The lamp doesn't magically add a new couch to the room or get rid of that table you always trip over. Nope. It just helps you see the furniture so you can walk around without bumping into things. So in this view, astrology is purely a tool for awareness. It's about helping you understand your own life by showing you exactly what you've got to work with. Okay, so that naturally leads to the next big question, right? If it's not some fortune-telling trick, then how in the world does it work? And that brings us to a really core spiritual idea. The whole entire system is built on this principle called the law of correspondences. And the idea behind it is ancient, but it's actually super simple. As it is above, so it is below. What that really means is that the giant patterns we see out there in the universe, the macrocosm, are also reflected right inside of us, in the microcosm. The source has this beautiful way of putting it. Imagine the whole solar system is a giant, fully grown tree. Well, each and every one of us is like a tiny seed from that tree. And that seed, it holds the entire blueprint of the tree inside it. And this is where it gets really cool, because this isn't just some abstract idea. It translates directly into practice. Suddenly, the planets aren't just these distant balls of rock and gas anymore. They become powerful symbols for parts of our own minds. So the sun, it's not just a star. It represents our core I am consciousness. The moon becomes our mind. Mercury is our intellect. You get the idea. It's literally a map of your inner world. But here's the thing. That inner map, it's not set in stone. It's not static. Our relationship with these planetary energies actually changes and evolves as we grow. It builds into this clear path of personal evolution. So, according to the source, there are these 4 key stages of consciousness we move through. First up is individuality, and that's when we're basically just driven by our habits and desires. Then we move up to personality, where we start thinking about other people, but it's usually because we're afraid of what they'll think. After that comes the will. This is a huge step. It's where we actively start breaking those old habits to build something better. And finally, there's soul consciousness, where we discover that real happiness comes from giving and living for others. And check this out, because this perfectly shows how our relationship with the planets totally transforms. When you're at that individuality stage, just trapped by your habits, the planets feel like prison wardens, right? They're enforcing the rules of a prison you built yourself. But as you climb to soul consciousness, those exact same planetary energies, they become your trusted helpers, your guides on a journey to serve a greater good. Okay, but this brings up a huge question, and I'm sure you're thinking it too. If the planets are just symbols inside us, then what's the deal with all the bad stuff in a horoscope? You know, the difficult placements, the so-called bad luck? Well, here's a mind bender for you. The source argues there's actually no such thing as bad luck. There are only opportunities to grow. So take a really challenging aspect, like, say, the sun squaring Saturn. For someone stuck in that individuality stage, that might look like constant health issues or just failing at things over and over because they're just trapped in these self-defeating habits. But watch what happens. As that same person evolves their consciousness, that very same astrological aspect completely transforms. It's not a curse anymore. It's an instruction manual. It's a flashing sign that says, hey, time to learn some discipline, time to watch your diet, time to take control of your health. The problem literally becomes the path forward. And this all boils down to a really powerful quote from the source material. The stars will condition you. They do not compel you to do anything. Let that sink in. Your horoscope shows your tendencies, your default settings, your unique challenges. But it absolutely does not and cannot take away your freedom to choose how you're going to respond. So where does all this leave us? What's the big takeaway from looking at astrology this way? It's a total 180-degree shift in how you see it. The planets aren't these outside forces doing things to you. They're not your cruel masters, and they're not your fairy godmothers either. They're just indicators. They're like signposts on a map of your own mind, pointing out the hills and valleys you'll need to navigate. And what that means, ultimately, is that your life's purpose isn't hidden away in some old book or even written in the stars. It's something you find by using this inner map to really understand your own gifts, your own potential, and to figure out for yourself what you were put here to do. Okay, so let's wrap this up with the key takeaways. Number 1, astrology is a lamp, not a crystal ball. It's for self-awareness, not prediction. Number 2, the planets are just symbols for what's already inside you. 3, your relationship with those energies changes as you change. And number 4, and this is the big one, your challenges, those bad aspects, are actually your greatest chances to grow because you always have the freedom to choose your response. When you look at it this way, astrology becomes this profound tool for taking responsibility for your own life, which leaves us with one final thought to really chew on. The planets have lit the lamp. The light is on in the room of your life. What you choose to see, and more importantly, what you choose to do about it, well, that's entirely up to you.